If you ever so much as breathe on my husband again, I swear I'll shave every last strand of hair from your head. And you decrepit old hag, I will make it my life's mission to ensure every soul in this neighborhood knows what a pathetic tramp you are. You will remember my face." The words, sharp and venomous, sliced through the quiet afternoon air. The bag of groceries slipped from my grasp, its contents spilling across the dusty ground like a still life of our shattered peace. There, in front of me, was a scene from my deepest nightmares. A large, furious woman I knew as Karen, her face twisted in a mask of rage, had my mother pinned to the pavement. A white-hot fire flooded my brain, consuming all thought, all reason. I didn't hesitate. I rolled up my sleeves, a low growl tearing from my throat, and launched myself forward. I shoved Karen with all the force I could muster, sending her stumbling backward. I planted myself in front of my mother, a human shield, and my voice when it came was a roar. "Why can't you leave my mother in peace? Why must you torment her every single day? My mom is gentle, but I promise you I am not. Do you want your precious daughter to come home with a broken arm tomorrow? Or should I just save us all some time and shave your head right now?" Karen, never one to be outdone in a battle of volume or vitriol, scrambled back to her feet, her chest heaving. She screamed, her voice even louder, more piercing than mine. "I dare you. You lay a single finger on my daughter, and I'll have you rotting in a jail cell. Your mother is a shameless, husband-stealing flirt. She looks just like you, two peas in a pod, a pair of sluts. If she wasn't throwing herself at my husband, why would I waste my breath on her? I have 1,000 better things to do with my time than deal with trash like you, who spends all day chasing after other women's men." I didn't flinch. I let my purse drop to the ground, marched right up until we were nose to nose, and stared into her hate-filled eyes. "Say that again. Tell me, which one of your lying eyes saw my mother seducing your husband? For someone who boasts about being so educated, your mouth sounds like it belongs in the gutter." "Anna, stop it!" my mother cried out, her voice thin and weak as she pulled at my arm. "How can you speak to an elder like that? I sent you to school so you could learn to speak with respect." "Respectfully," I shot back, whirling to face my mom, my heart breaking at her naivety. "She's an elder who acts without an ounce of shame. She deserves no respect from me or anyone else." I turned my fury back to Karen, my finger a dagger pointed at her face. "From this day forward, you had better learn to keep your own husband on a leash. Instead of harassing innocent people, maybe you should worry about which cheap hotel room he's in right now with some other woman. Don't you dare think you can bully us just because we are poor. We have nothing left to lose. If you so much as touch my mother again, I swear on my life, I will make you pay, even if I have to go to jail to do it." I grabbed my mom's arm and dragged her inside our small house, the screen door slamming shut behind us. My hands were shaking. I had to drink 3 full glasses of water before the trembling subsided. My mother sat on a rickety wooden chair, her shoulders slumped, sobbing quietly into her hands. I went to her, my own rage dissolving into a familiar ache of sorrow and helplessness. I softened my voice. "Mom, please don't cry anymore. The next time she comes looking for trouble, you have to call me immediately. Did she hurt you? Are you okay?" She took my hand, her skin soft and wrinkled against mine. "Anna, you're a young woman. How can you speak to someone older than you with such venom? You're 23 years old now. You need to learn to control that temper of yours." "I'm old, Anna. I've heard it all before." Her words are just wind. "I don't want you to get a reputation for being a disrespectful, angry girl because of me. Everyone in the neighborhood already says you're too aggressive. How will you ever find a husband if you carry on like this?" "I don't need a husband," I said, my voice firm with a conviction that came from the very core of my being. "If I get married, who will be here to protect you? I don't care about being seen as some gentle, polite little girl. That's just an act, a show for the world. If I were gentle, people would walk all over us, wipe their feet on our dignity. Don't you see? It's because I'm aggressive that no one else in this neighborhood dares to bully us. Karen knows she can't do anything to them, so she takes all her pathetic frustration out on you. You try being nice to her one more time and see what happens. I swear, Mom, I will tear her house down brick by brick. Being a little kind, even if it means we lose a little pride, is okay." My mom sighed, her spirit worn down by years of hardship. If we're too kind, people will see it as weakness and climb all over our backs. And from now on, if her husband dares to show his face in our store, you are not to sell him anything. We will not starve." I looked at her, my exasperation rising. "Forget it. I'm hungry. I went for a job interview today and haven't eaten a single thing." "Did you find a job?" she asked, her concern for me momentarily eclipsing her own sorrow. I grabbed a piece of tofu from a plate on the table and chewed on it, the simple taste a small comfort. "Yeah, I did. I got a job as a security guard at a big office building in District B. It's a little far, but the pay is good." "I told you to find a job as a cashier. Why a security guard? That's a tough job for a man. It's not for a girl." "A girl can do it just fine, Mom. Don't you worry about me. Seems pretty easy. I just have to sit and watch the security cameras. The salary is over $1,000 a month, not even including overtime. And there are a couple of other women working there too, so I'll have friends. But it's still such hard work. You're so thin. How will you possibly manage?" "For good money, Mom, I can manage anything. Don't worry about it. I start tomorrow." I quickly finished my rice. "Let's close up the shop early tonight. I'll take you out for dessert to celebrate me finally getting a job." My mother was about to say something else, her face etched with worry, but seeing the unyielding determination in my eyes, she let it go with another weary sigh. Of course, I didn't want to be a security guard. My dreams were painted in softer colors. I wanted a clean office job. I wanted to wear pretty flowing dresses, put on a little makeup, and feel the cool kiss of an air-conditioned office on my skin. But for a girl like me, armed with only a high school diploma, how could I ever hope to reach for a job at a big, shiny corporation? So I buried those dreams deep inside, alongside all my other secret hopes. Forget being a security guard. I'd sweep the streets or clean the sewers if I had to. I just needed to make money. I just needed to build a fortress of security around my mother. A wall so high that no one would ever dare to look down on her again. For that, I would do anything. My first day on the job was a dizzying blur of chaos. The building was a modern behemoth, with an even bigger, labyrinthine parking garage sprawling beneath it. Besides the endless stream of cars, there were countless motorcycles, and the people who parked here seemed to have a collective aversion to order. They abandoned their bikes wherever they pleased. I just finished painstakingly arranging a dozen of them in a neat, orderly row, and I'd turn around only to find another chaotic, tangled mess behind me. A coworker named Maria, her face kind and weathered, saw me standing there, dazed and overwhelmed. "A bit much, isn't it?" she asked with a knowing smile. "Don't you worry, you'll get used to it in a few days. When I first started here, I couldn't sleep at night. My whole body ached in places I didn't know existed. But it gets better, I promise." "Yeah, it's a bit exhausting," I admitted, my shoulders slumping. "It's a good thing the pay makes up for it, or I'd have no motivation to come back tomorrow." "That's the one good thing about this place," she agreed, her voice conspiratorial. "They pay well, and they treat their employees with respect. But you're so young and pretty. Why didn't you find an easier job? You're going to waste your youth in this concrete jungle." With my lack of education and no connections, where else could I find an easy job? I said with a shrug. "I'm lucky this place doesn't require a college degree. Otherwise, I'd probably still be running around serving tables at some noisy hot pot restaurant. Being a security guard is fine. As long as there's money at the end of the month, it's a good job." Maria just smiled and didn't say anything more. I watched her, a woman in her 40s, expertly maneuvering the heavy, unwieldy motorcycles into place with an ease that belied her age. Seeing her gave me a renewed sense of motivation. If she could do it at her age, a 23-year-old like me had no right to complain. But that night I tossed and turned, unable to find a comfortable position. My arms and legs throbbed with a dull, persistent ache. The next morning I dragged my tired, protesting body back to work. Besides wrangling motorcycles, I didn't have much else to do. After a week, my rotation for the night shift began. The night shift was just me and Maria. For 1 week out of every month, I had to work overnight, watching the sleeping city from my small security office. After making my rounds to check the vast, silent building, I returned to the security office. Maria was already pulling out a folding cot. "I'm going to try and catch some sleep," she said, her voice thick with exhaustion. Wake me up in a few hours and I'll take over for you. If anything at all happens, you wake me up immediately. Okay, you go ahead and sleep. I told her, trying to sound more awake than I felt. She was asleep in minutes, her soft snores a gentle rhythm in the quiet room. I sat there, my eyes feeling gritty, trying to keep my gaze glued to the bank of monitors, when I heard loud, violent retching noises from just outside. I looked through the window and saw a man vomiting into a large, elegant potted plant by the building's entrance. I had just watered that poor plant this afternoon. Without a second thought, I ran outside and slapped him hard on the back. Hey, the street is right over there if you need to throw up. Do you have any idea that I'm the one who is going to have to clean this disgusting mess up tomorrow? Get out of here. You can't just vomit wherever you please. He just sat there, slumped against the planter, completely ignoring me. Exasperated, I grabbed his arm to pull him up. But before I could even get him to his feet, he lurched forward and threw up all over my uniform. The overpowering smell of cheap alcohol and stomach bile made my own stomach churn in protest. Before I could push him away, a sharp, stinging slap landed on my cheek, and a shrill, furious voice made me freeze. Get your filthy, disgusting hands off my husband before I cut them off. The slap stunned me for a second. When the burning pain registered, I shoved the man to the ground with all my might. Only then did I get a clear look at the woman who had hit me. She was dressed in expensive clothes, her hair perfectly coiffed, looking elegant and wealthy, but her behavior was anything but. Before she could start yelling at me for pushing her husband, I spoke up, my own voice sharp and dripping with contempt. Your husband was vomiting in a restricted area. I was kind enough to tell him to stop, and in return he threw up all over me. I don't get a thank you, and instead you act like a common thug? Take your drunk husband and get out of my sight. She was about to retort, her mouth opening to release another tirade, but she saw her husband getting sicker by the second and decided to help him up instead. As they were staggering away, I pointed to my stained, reeking uniform. This is the mess your husband made. You need to compensate me. Laundry isn't cheap. Here, she sneered, throwing 2 crisp $100 bills on the ground at my feet. That should be enough to buy a new uniform. I looked her straight in the eye, my own eyes blazing with a cold fury, and slapped her across the face. Normally, I wouldn't hit back, but your attitude is absolutely disgusting. This is for you. And for the record, this money is for the uniform your husband ruined. I'm not begging you for it. If you're not going to hand it to me with a little respect, then neither of you are leaving here easily tonight. How dare you slap me? Do you have any idea who I am? This isn't over. I will be back tomorrow to settle this score with you. As she tried to walk away, I grabbed her arm, my grip like iron. You're right, this isn't over. Where do you think you're going? Pay for the uniform if you don't want your precious husband to freeze to death out here. At first, she stared at me defiantly, her eyes shooting daggers. But her husband was starting to shiver violently, his teeth chattering. She finally opened her expensive wallet and handed me $200 bills. This time she put them directly into my hand. Once I had the money, I let them go. Even as she got to her car, she turned back to give me one last hateful glare. Holding the money, I had a sinking feeling that tomorrow was going to be a very, very long day. But whatever. I had the money. I would deal with whatever came next. My uniform was a complete mess, so after Maria woke up, I asked her to cover the rest of my shift and went home. Even though it was the middle of the night, I took a long hot shower, put the $200 in my piggy bank, and fell into a deep, exhausted sleep. I was sleeping soundly when my phone started ringing incessantly, a jarring, insistent sound that pulled me from my dreams. It was my boss, Mr. Chung. This was the first time he had ever called me, and I felt a jolt of alarm. I quickly cleared the fog of sleep from my head and answered. Before I could even say a word, his voice exploded through the phone. Get to my office right now. You've caused a huge, monumental problem, and you have the audacity to hide at home? Get your butt over here right now. Even though I held the phone away from my ear, I heard every single angry word. He hung up before I could respond. If I had to guess, the huge problem was what had happened last night. Was getting $200 worth losing my job? No, of course not. That was a terrible deal. But it wasn't the first time I'd been fired from a job I'd had for less than a month. I remembered working at a hot pot restaurant. The owner's daughter had just broken up with her boyfriend and started taking all her misery out on me, yelling and screaming at me in front of all the customers. I could take her yelling at me, but then she had the nerve to insult my mother. So I poured a whole pot of hot pot over her head. Luckily, the soup had cooled down by then, so I only got fired. If it had been hot, who knows what would have happened. That's just how I am. If someone messes with me, I'm ready to fight them to the bitter end. When I got to the office, Maria was already there waiting for me. She rushed over, her face etched with worry. "What happened, Anna? Why didn't you tell me? Your uniform was dirty, so you said you had to go home early. Did you get into some kind of big trouble?" "I'll tell you everything later. I have to go and see the boss first." I knocked on his door and went in. Just as I had expected, the woman from last night was there, looking smug and triumphant. The moment Mr. Chung saw me, he slammed his hand down hard on the desk and started yelling, "Anna, you're a security guard, not some common gangster. You have absolutely no right to hit people. I don't care what the reason is. You will apologize to Ms. Jessica right now, and then you're fired." "I can be fired right now, sir," I said, my voice surprisingly calm. "But I will not apologize to her. I did nothing wrong, so I have nothing to apologize for." Hearing this, Jessica stood up and walked toward me, her face a mask of pure contempt. "So you'd rather be fired than apologize to me? Fine. I happen to be a very persistent person. If you won't apologize to me, then I'll just have to go and find your mother and have her apologize instead. I saw that little convenience store your mother runs. It would be a real shame if it had to close down." She turned to my boss, her voice dripping with venom. "Mr. Chung, fire her and don't pay her a single cent. She vomited on my husband, slapped me, and now she's being defiant? You dare to touch my mother? My life is already poor, so I'm not afraid of anything. Sir, the contract I signed clearly states that I get paid for the days I've worked. If you refuse to pay me, I will take this contract and sue your company." "That's absolutely hilarious," Jessica scoffed, a cruel laugh escaping her lips. "A penniless, pathetic little girl like you wants to sue a major corporation? Let's just see what you can do to me. Who gave you the right to act with such arrogance?" A new voice, deep and authoritative, cut through the thick tension in the room. Both Jessica and I turned to see an elderly man standing in the doorway, his piercing gaze fixed intently on her. Jessica's arrogant demeanor vanished in an instant, replaced by a look of pure fear. She ran to him and clung to his arm, her voice turning whiny and childlike. "Grandpa, why are you yelling at me in front of other people? This tramp attacked me last night. I was just punishing a bad person. You don't know what I went through. Taking away someone's livelihood is never the answer," he said, his voice stern and unyielding. "You don't know how bad this girl is, but right now I'm seeing just how bad my own granddaughter can be. Mr. Chung, as a manager, you should be able to distinguish between personal and professional matters. You can't just fire someone based on Jessica's angry, childish words. Don't you agree?" "Yes, Mr. Chairman, you are absolutely right," Mr. Chung stammered, his face turning a blotchy red. "Anna, it was all just a misunderstanding. You can go back to work." I looked at Mr. Chung with a cold, humorless smile. "A misunderstanding? You didn't even care to find out if I was right or wrong. You fired me, and now you say it's all just a misunderstanding? I don't think I can work for a boss who is so blatantly unfair. Please just pay me what I'm owed and I'll leave." Mr. Chung's face turned from red to a deep shade of purple with anger. "If it weren't for the chairman, I wouldn't even let you stay. Who do you think you are to talk to me like that? Go to the accounting department, get your pay, and get out of my sight." "Thank you, sir," I said, turning to leave. "I hope to never see you again." After I got my money, I wasn't sad. I immediately started looking for another job. The economy was tough, and finding work was much harder than I had thought. After searching all afternoon, my feet aching and my spirit bruised, I finally found a position as a cashier at a small, bustling diner that served cheap local food. They didn't require any degrees or references. That evening, I gave the money I had earned to my mom. She knew I had only worked for a few days, so she didn't even have to ask what had happened. She tried to give me back half of it. "Keep this for your gas money," she said, her eyes full of a quiet understanding. "It's just a little bit, Mom. You keep it." I found a new job already as a cashier at a restaurant. I start tomorrow. She took my hand inside, a sound that seemed to carry the weight of the world. Anna, sometimes in this life, it's better to just endure things. I know you've worked hard for every single penny you've ever earned, but this isn't the time to be hopping from one job to the next. Mom, I've told you before, the word endure is not in my vocabulary. If someone messes with me, I may not be able to beat them, but I will at least get a few words in. I am not going to let people treat me however they want just for a small, pathetic paycheck. If I lose one job, I'll find another. See, I quit this morning and I already have a new job tonight. I'm a grown woman now. I can take care of myself. Your job is to stay home and run the store. If you feel like working, then work. If you don't, then don't. I will make enough money to take care of you, I promise. I don't need you to make a lot of money, she said, her voice soft and full of love. Even if you don't have a job, it's okay. The store makes enough for us to live on. Seeing you struggle so much, it breaks my heart. I'm not struggling, Mom. This little store barely makes enough to get by. Not everyone gets to work as much as I do. I'm happy to be busy. I'm your daughter, and I have to be strong to protect you. I started clearing the dishes from the table. You go and get some rest. I've been working all day, I'm tired. Let me do it, she protested, trying to take the plates from my hands. No, you go and rest. I will handle everything. Under my firm, loving direction, my mom finally relented and went to her room. After I finished cleaning the small kitchen, I started going through her account books. After an hour of trying to make sense of her chaotic scribbles, my head was spinning. There was no profit, only pages and pages of mounting debt. It looked like I would have to pay a visit to some of her more delinquent customers after my shift tomorrow. This was why I had dropped out of school after the 12th grade. My mom was too soft, too kind-hearted. She kept selling things on credit, and people, seeing her gentle nature, never paid her back. We were always drowning in debt. I knew my grades weren't great anyway, so I had decided to quit school early and help her with the store. I didn't care if people looked down on me for not having an education. My mom was weak and our little store was constantly in the red. Other people's convenience stores made them rich. Ours, because of my mom's kind and trusting nature, just made us poorer. The cashier job was easy enough. I had done it before at other places, so I settled into the rhythm of it quickly. The diner was always busy, a constant stream of hungry customers, and at the end of my shift, the owner, a kind-faced woman with tired eyes, gave me a $20 bonus. You're a quick learner, she said with a warm smile. I took the money, feeling a rare surge of pride, and rode my old sputtering scooter home. When I got there, a sleek, expensive-looking car was parked in front of our humble house. I knew enough about cars to know it was worth at least $1 million. I parked my cheap, rusty scooter down the street, terrified that I might scratch its pristine paint if I tried to squeeze past. My mom and I would have to sell the house to pay for the damages. I walked inside, about to call out for my mom, when I heard a man's voice, deep and resonant. She is the daughter of my flesh and my blood. She is the granddaughter of the Peterson family. I have the right to take her with me. I stood there, completely frozen, my mind a whirlwind of confusion. My curiosity got the better of me, and I walked into the small living room. I was shocked to see the man from the office, Jessica's grandfather. What was he doing here? My mom was sitting with her head bowed, her shoulders shaking as if she had been crying. I dropped my bag on a chair and fixed my gaze on him. What did you say to make my mother cry? I demanded, my voice sharp. That business from the other day is over. Why are you here? The man just smiled, a calm, unreadable expression on his face, and handed me a piece of paper. I'm not here about what happened the other day, he said, his voice even. I'm here to bring my daughter home. My mind raced, trying to make sense of his words. Daughter? What daughter? I took the paper from his outstretched hand and read it. It was a DNA test result. The conclusion at the bottom read, the DNA samples from subject Y and subject X confirm a father-daughter relationship with 99.9% certainty. I looked at the names on the report. Subject Y was me. I sank down onto the sofa next to my mom, not asking any questions, just looking deep into her tear-filled eyes. She nodded slowly, her voice a barely audible whisper. He's your father. Even though a small part of me had suspected it, hearing the words from my own mother's mouth still felt like a physical blow. It took me a few minutes to process the shocking revelation. I turned to the man, my father. You abandoned my mother and me back then. What right do you have to show up now and disrupt our lives? Just as you think, I am here to reclaim my daughter. And if I'm not mistaken, you only want your daughter, not her mother. This time, he didn't even bother to deny it. My daughter has my personality, my blood. I only want to reclaim her. I already have a wife. Why would I possibly need your mother? I laughed, a bitter, broken sound that clawed its way out of my throat. Then what on earth makes you so confident that I would leave my mother to go with a stranger like you? I'm not thinking, I am certain, he said, his voice calm and full of an unnerving confidence. I will give you 1 week to get your affairs in order. Quit your job at that little restaurant. I will come to pick you up next week. What gives you the right to order me around? Don't even dream that I will go with you. Who are you to try and separate me from my mother? He ignored my outburst, simply turning and walking out to his expensive car. For the first time in my life, I felt a deep sense of unease, a chilling fear that I was completely powerless against him. I sat down heavily on the old, worn couch. Mom, why didn't you say anything? I asked, my voice trembling. Don't you have anything to say to me? My mom kept her head down, her hands twisting in her lap. A long time ago, I was with him, but his family didn't approve of me because I was poor. Then I got pregnant with you. Your grandparents wouldn't accept a child born out of wedlock. They disowned me because I refused to get rid of you. That's why I've never taken you to see them. He thought I had gotten rid of you back then. I don't know how he found out about you, but now he's here to claim you. I figured it out then. He must have become suspicious after our confrontation at his office and had me investigated. For a man with his kind of money and power, getting a DNA test without my knowledge would be child's play. I used to brush my hair in the security office before my shift. He could have easily gotten a sample from there. I just didn't understand why he wanted me now when he had so cruelly rejected me back then. I put my arm around my mom, pulling her close. Don't be sad. Just ignore him. He can say whatever he wants. He didn't acknowledge me back then, so as far as I'm concerned, I'm dead to him. Anna, my mom said, hugging me tight, her body trembling. This time, I think you should listen to him. It's time for you to acknowledge him as your father. You don't understand how rich he is, how powerful he is, what he is capable of. I don't know why he wants you back now, but I think you should go with him. I shook my head stubbornly, a familiar fire igniting in my chest. I want to see what he can do. It turned out I had greatly, foolishly underestimated my father. He didn't target me directly. He targeted everything and everyone around me. First, he used his money and influence to shut down the diner where I worked. After a few surprise health and safety inspections, the diner was closed for good within 2 days. I was out of a job. Then, our small, humble convenience store was suddenly inspected and accused of selling expired cooking oil. A hefty fine would have been one thing, but then someone sued us, claiming they had gotten severe food poisoning from an expired product sold at our store and had died. Within 3 days, my job was gone, and my mom's store was facing a devastating lawsuit. The next morning, I went to a small coffee shop at the end of the street. The girl who worked there, a notorious gossip, saw me and immediately started sneering. Your family is being sued, and you still have the time to sit here and leisurely drink coffee? Some people have absolutely no shame. I picked up my glass of ice water and threw it in her face. I slammed the empty glass down hard on the table. Do you want me to slap you so hard you'll need a new set of teeth? Mind your own damn business. My family's problems are none of your concern. Now get back to work. You hit me, she shrieked, her face a mask of outrage. I'm going to tell my mom. She told me if you ever so much as touched me, she'd have her brothers come and beat you to a pulp. Oh really? Well, I'm standing right here. You look just like you did back then, still letting me push you around like a little doll. I shooed her away with a flick of my wrist. Go on, get out of here. She just stood there, fuming and sputtering, but didn't do anything. My father arrived, his presence filling the small coffee shop. Before he could even sit down, I cut straight to the chase. When do you want me to move in? He was surprised for a second, then a slow, triumphant smile spread across his face. I'm surprised you came to me so soon. It seems you're not as stubborn as I initially thought. If you hadn't touched my last resort, my last shred of hope, I wouldn't have come looking for you. I'll go with you, but I have one condition. What is it? As long as it's not too unreasonable, I will agree to it. I want a $5 million credit card, a townhouse in the city center for my mother, and I want you to guarantee that my mother will have a peaceful life, without anyone ever bothering her again. He agreed without a second's hesitation. He handed me a sleek black credit card. There's $30 million in here. This is my business card. Go to the bank, tell them what you want, and they will take care of everything. The house will be in your mother's name by tomorrow. You have 2 days to get your things ready. I will personally come to pick you up. He patted me on the shoulder, a gesture that was meant to be paternal but felt cold and transactional, and then he left. I looked down at the black card in my hand and gave a bitter smile. I just wanted my mother to have a good, peaceful life. This was nothing compared to the lifetime of hardship she had endured to raise me. I didn't want to leave her, but for now it was the best, the only way. The way my father had so effortlessly and ruthlessly intervened in our lives scared me to my very core. His money and his power were too great. I was terrified of what would happen if I didn't obey. I went home and gave the card to my mom, explaining that I was going to live with him. She stroked my hair, her eyes full of a deep, sorrowful love. When you're over there, you have to take care of yourself. Your father and your grandfather are your only real relatives now. Everyone else is an outsider. And outsiders won't be as forgiving of your mistakes as I have been. You need to learn to control that fiery temper of yours. I rested my head on her shoulder, breathing in her familiar, comforting scent. Your daughter is not easily bullied, Mom. Don't you worry about me. I don't need anyone's forgiveness or generosity. If I'm wrong, I'll apologize. But if I'm right, I am not afraid of anyone. She lectured me for another half an hour before finally letting me go. I knew that life over there, in that strange, cold new world, wouldn't be easy, but I had made my choice. I just prayed with all my heart that it wouldn't be as dark and lonely as I imagined. After I settled the matter of the new house for my mom, I was ready to go to my father's home. At first, my mom refused to move, saying she would work and save up every penny to pay my father back for the house. I had to swear on our ancestors' altar that I would work and pay him back myself before she would finally agree. I knew the house, being in a prime location near a hospital and a supermarket, was worth at least $2 million. It would take me a lifetime to pay it back, but it was the only way to put her worried mind at ease. The driver pulled up to a massive wrought iron gate, and I snapped out of my thoughts. My father was busy with an important meeting, so he couldn't come to pick me up as he had promised. That was fine with me. I didn't want the fuss anyway. Before me was not just a house, but a mansion. It was like something out of a movie, grand and majestic, its sheer scale breathtaking. I was completely in awe. The automatic gate swung open silently, and an elderly man rushed out to greet the car. He bowed respectfully as I got out. "Welcome, young Mississippi. The chairman has been waiting for you. My son is at work, but the chairman, your grandfather, is waiting for you in his room. Please follow me." I was taken aback. A man who was my father's age was bowing to me. It felt strange, unnatural. The inside of the mansion was even more stunning than the outside. Everything seemed to be plated in gold. There was only one word for it: rich. Unbelievably, obscenely rich. Was this what it felt like to be born with a silver spoon in your mouth? I was still marveling at the opulent decor when a sharp, painful shove from behind sent me stumbling forward. It was followed by a shrill, screeching voice. "Who let you in here? Mr. 2, do you have a death wish letting this filthy, disgusting thing into the house? Get out. Get your dirty, pathetic self out of my house right now." I didn't even have to turn around. I knew it was Jessica. I took 2 steps back, grabbed her hand, and using all my strength, flipped her over my shoulder, sending her crashing to the marble floor. "I'm not filthy," I said, my voice low and dangerous. "You had better watch your mouth before I slap it shut for you." Another voice, even more shrill and piercing than Jessica's, chimed in. "Go on, slap her. I want to see how much nerve you have to slap the young miss of this house." I turned to see a middle-aged woman glaring at me, her face a mask of pure contempt. Mr. 2, sensing the escalating tension, stepped quickly between us. "Mrs. Victoria, please be careful with your words. This is the grand young miss. I'm afraid the chairman will not be pleased if he hears of this." The woman, Victoria, was not intimidated. "She just arrived, and she's already attacking the young Miss Jessica? Does she think she can rule this house just because she has the chairman's favor? She can rule it if she wants to." A deep, booming voice echoed from the top of the grand staircase. "If my family does something wrong, she has every right to teach them a lesson." Everyone fell silent. It was my grandfather. The butler, Mr. Two, rushed to his side. Even Jessica, who was still sprawled on the floor, scrambled up and ran to him. "Grandpa, she hit me. My back is all bruised because of her. You have to punish her. I have told you to change your ways, but you never listen," my grandfather said, his voice stern and disapproving. "You dare to call your older sister she? You started the fight, so what she did was not unreasonable. She is your elder sister, and that is a command. You must obey. And you, Victoria, I think you should also change how you address her. Anna is the grand young miss of the Peterson family. You should know your place and act accordingly. Mr. Two, take Victoria upstairs to see me." My grandfather came over to me, his eyes surprisingly kind. "Come upstairs and talk with me for a bit. Then you can go to your room and rest." I walked past Jessica, giving her a small, triumphant smirk. My grandfather's study was on the 5th floor, accessible by a private, wood-paneled elevator. His room was decorated in a classic antique style, filled with old books and expensive art. After Mr. Two served us tea, he left us alone. "It must be a bit overwhelming coming here for the first time," my grandfather said, his voice gentle. "Yes, it's a lot to take in," I admitted, my own voice a whisper in the vast, quiet room. "You'll get used to it. You have one day to rest and then you will start your studies. You will be taking an accelerated course in business administration. I know your current education level, so to work at the company, you will have to study 3 or 4 times harder than everyone else. We will have the best professors to help you. You must be tired from your journey. Go to your room and rest. We will start tomorrow." Mr. Two was waiting outside to show me to my room, which was right next to my grandfather's. "This will be your room, grand young miss," he said with a respectful bow. "My name is Tuesday. I am the head butler of this house. The Peterson family's primary business is real estate. The chairman owns over a dozen large and small companies, dealing in hotels and land, as well as several smaller restaurant chains. The chairman has only one son, your father, Mr. Victor. He is married to Mrs. Victoria, and they have 2 children, a son and a daughter, young Master Andrew and young Miss Jessica. Young Master Andrew is currently studying and working in Australia, so you won't be able to meet him just yet. You have already met young Miss Jessica. In this house, you don't have to do any work. There are staff to take care of everything. Mrs. Victoria's younger sister, also named Victoria, lives with us, so you should address her as Aunt. For now, you have one day to rest. After that, you'll need to focus on your accelerated business course. Do you have any other questions?" "I want to ask about my mother," I said, my voice small. "Will I have time to visit her often? For now, I think you should focus on your studies. You will be very busy in the coming days. Once you are settled, you can visit her." "Thank you, Mr. Tuesday. I'm a bit tired. I'd like to rest now." "Of course, grand young Mississippi. I won't disturb you any longer." I looked around the enormous, beautifully decorated room and felt a sudden, overwhelming wave of homesickness. This was the first time in my life I had ever been away from my mother, away from my home. I felt an immense, crushing pressure. I had to call my mom. She picked up on the second ring. "How is it, dear? Did you meet your grandfather? Are they treating you well?" she asked, her words tumbling out in a rush of motherly concern. "I haven't met my father yet, but I did meet my grandfather. We talked. I have a room right next to his. No one is giving me a hard time. Soon I'll be working at the company. Aren't you proud of me? But first, I have to take a difficult business course. How is your mother doing? Have you eaten yet? Don't you dare skip meals just because you miss me." "I've eaten, Mom. Don't worry about me. You listen to your grandfather and your father. You study hard and help them with the company. And you remember what I told you, don't you dare cause any trouble. You be good, and especially, you listen to your Aunt Victoria. Why do I have to listen to her? Anna, your Aunt Victoria is like your second mother. You must— Oh, I think your grandfather is calling me. I have to go now. I'll be very busy with my studies, so I won't be able to visit for a while. But I promise I'll call you every day. Okay, Mom. Before she could say anything else, I hung up. Why on earth would I have to listen to her? As if on cue, there was a soft knock on my door. It's your Aunt Victoria. May I come in? I just want to talk to you for a moment. I really didn't want to see her, but my curiosity won out. I opened the door. Before me stood a middle-aged woman, though she looked like she was only in her 40s. She was beautiful, but not as breathtakingly beautiful as my mother. She smiled warmly at me, a perfect practiced smile. May I come in and talk with you? She asked, her voice surprisingly gentle and kind. I nodded and let her in. Her every movement was graceful and elegant, a study in refined sophistication. I wondered if she was born that way or if she had spent a long time learning it. Not that I cared. All I cared about was why she was here. As if reading my mind, she said, You must be wondering why I am here. To be perfectly honest, when I first found out about you, I was not happy at all. But then I thought about it and I realized it was your father's fault, not yours. In fact, I feel sorry for you, for all the hardships you have had to endure over the years. I am here to tell you that from this day forward, we are a family. If you have any difficulties, any problems at all, you can come to me. I may not be able to love you as much as your own mother does, but I promise you I won't hate you either. I looked at her, my eyes searching her perfectly made-up face. You don't hate me, but you hate my mother, don't you? She smiled faintly, a shadow of something unreadable in her eyes. If I said no, I'd be lying to you. Yes, I do hate your mother. But I am your father's wife now. That means I have no reason to hate her anymore. You are you, and your mother is your mother. I will not take out my feelings about an adult on an innocent child. You can trust me. Before I could reply, the door opened and my father walked in. What a coincidence, you're here too, he said to Victoria, his voice casual. Jessica, what are you doing just standing there? Come in. Jessica was standing at the door, her lower lip pushed out in a childish pout. Dad, this is the biggest, most beautiful room in the entire house. I asked Grandpa to let me have it, but he wouldn't. This isn't fair at all. Your room is not any smaller than this one. Today is your sister's first day home. We should all go out and celebrate as a family. Celebrate? What is there to celebrate about an illegitimate child showing up out of nowhere? I'm not going. Jessica, do not make me repeat myself, my father said, his voice turning stern and cold. Victoria immediately stepped in, patting Jessica gently on the shoulder. Darling, don't mind her. She's just talking nonsense. I'll have a word with her. My father just nodded, seemingly satisfied with her placating response. After a few more perfunctory words of advice for me, he and his perfect family left. Something about my conversation with Victoria felt off, disingenuous. How could a woman not be filled with rage when her husband had a child with another woman? Instead, she wanted to live in perfect harmony with me. It didn't make any sense. But for now, the more immediate problem was how on earth I was going to cram all these business books into my head. That night, my father had booked a table at a fancy Michelin-starred restaurant to celebrate my return to the family. The celebration dinner was anything but cheerful. Everyone was just trying to get through the painfully awkward meal and go home. I didn't care about their feelings. I was just focused on filling my stomach with the delicious, expensive food. After a good night's sleep, my grandfather brought in a stern-looking professor to tutor me. I studied from morning until night. My only break was when I ate, and even then, I would be on the phone with my mom, her voice a comforting balm to my weary soul. After a month of this intense, grueling studying, I had to take a small business test. Thanks to my grandfather's rigorous training, I passed it with flying colors. He told me that if I passed one more advanced test next month, I could finally start working at the company. As a reward for my hard work, he gave me a day off to go and visit my mom. It had been a while since I'd had my mom's delicious home cooking, and I ate 2 whole bowls of rice. She kept piling more and more food onto my plate. Eat more, you're so pale and thin. You have to take care of your health. The food is so good, Mom. You're the best cook in the entire world. I'll cook a whole chicken for you to take back with you." The whole day, my mom was happily busy cooking for me. That evening, Mr. 2 came to pick me up. "Let me carry that for you, grand young miss," he said, taking the heavy, fragrant bag of food from my hands. Back at the mansion, I asked the maid, Mrs. Liu, to put the food in the fridge, and then I went up to my room. The next morning, I went down to the kitchen to heat up the food for breakfast, my mouth already watering in anticipation. I couldn't find Mrs. Liu anywhere. "Mrs. Liu," called out. She came running in from the garden, her face flushed. "Yes, grand young miss? The food I gave you yesterday, where did you put it?" Her face turned pale and she started stammering, her eyes darting around nervously. I knew immediately what had happened. "Did you forget to put it away and now it's spoiled?" No, that's not it at all," she said, wringing her hands anxiously. "Yesterday, I did put it away." I knelt down and looked her straight in the eye. "Where is my food? Please just give it to me." There were so many delicious dishes. I was so looking forward to eating them. The food, yesterday. Young Miss Jessica. She threw it all away. Just then Jessica's shrill, demanding voice came from upstairs. "Mrs. Liu, is my breakfast ready yet? My boyfriend is coming over soon." I stormed up to Jessica's room, my blood boiling. "Why did you throw away my food?" I demanded, my voice low and dangerous. She looked at me and smirked, a cruel, mocking expression on her face. "Oh, that was your food? I had no idea. I thought it was for the dogs. But even my precious dogs wouldn't eat that garbage, so I threw it all out." "What did you just say? You call the food my mother cooked for me garbage? Your mouth may look clean on the outside, but every single word that comes out of it is rotten to the core." I went to the backyard where the family dog, Kino, was. Jessica followed me, screaming at the top of her lungs. "Don't you think that just because I'm quiet, I'm weak? You stop right there. I am going to teach you a lesson today." I ignored her, picked up a shovel, and scooped up a large steaming pile of fresh dog poop. I walked back to her and unceremoniously dumped it on her perfectly styled hair. The smell was horrendous. She let out a blood-curdling shriek. "You bitch. Anna, you absolute bitch. Do you have a death wish?" "Yes, as a matter of fact I do. So if you know what's good for you, don't mess with me. And especially don't you ever mess with my things. You and this poop are a perfect match. You're both equally disgusting." I walked away calmly, leaving her screaming and sputtering in a cloud of her own impotent rage. "Anna, you just wait. This isn't over." I stopped and turned back, a slow, cold smile spreading across my face. "It's not over? What are you going to do? A spoiled, pathetic little princess like you wants to fight a girl who has a black belt in Taekwondo? You can dream on. I may be short on money, but I am not short on strength. You don't stand a chance against me, Jessica." I took the elevator up to my room. On the way, I ran into Aunt Victoria. She looked frantic, her usual composure completely gone. "What happened between you two this morning? What did you do to Jessica?" "I didn't do anything," I said nonchalantly, a picture of innocence. "I just reminded her not to touch my food. It's almost time for my class. If you'll excuse me." I smiled at her sweetly and continued to my room, whistling a cheerful tune. The first thing I did was jump into the shower. I thought about Jessica's horrified face covered in dog poop and couldn't help but laugh out loud. Just as I got out, there was a knock on my door. It was my grandfather. "Anna, may I come in?" I opened the door. "Grandpa, why didn't you call me down for breakfast? You don't have to study today. You are coming to the company with me." "The company? Why? I'm not supposed to start until next month." "Yes, but I want to give you a tour. You should see where you will be working." "Okay, let me just change my clothes and get some breakfast." "Anna," he said, his voice suddenly serious. "Jessica has been spoiled since she was a child, so she often behaves badly. But you are the older sister. You should be more gentle with her. You two should be able to sit down and talk things out, not resort to fighting. Do you understand?" I thought for a moment. "Yes, Grandpa, I understand. I will try to get along with Jessica." "Good. Now go and get changed and we will have breakfast together." After I got dressed, my grandfather and I went down to the grand dining room. Everyone else was already there. When they saw my grandfather, they all stood up respectfully to greet him. He gestured for me to sit in the empty chair next to him. Come sit with your grandfather. You should sit next to your future husband. He emphasized the words future husband and smiled at me, a twinkle in his eye. Before I could even begin to figure out what he was talking about, Jessica slammed her hands down hard on the table. Grandpa, what do you mean? I'm the one who's supposed to marry Dylan. Why should she get to sit next to him? Aunt Victoria immediately shot her a sharp, warning look. Jessica, you watch your mouth. How dare you speak to your grandfather like that? You will apologize at once. Faced with her mother's stern gaze and my father's icy glare, Jessica mumbled a reluctant apology. After we finished eating, my grandfather made another announcement. This morning, I am taking Anna to the company for a tour. Dylan, you will come with us. Yes, sir. A man I hadn't even noticed before replied, his voice a low, pleasant baritone. I want to come too. Jessica whined. My car is broken. Mr. Two will take you to work later. We have private matters to discuss. On the way to the company, my grandfather and the man Dylan talked a lot. I just sat there, not understanding a single word of their business jargon. The car stopped in front of a large, elegant restaurant. I completely forgot that I have a meeting with a friend here, my grandfather said. Dylan will give you the tour. If you have any questions, you can just ask him. Before I could protest, he was gone. Dylan got out of the car and walked away without a word, leaving me behind. I sat there stubbornly. The security guard had to come and ask me to move. Miss, I'm sorry, but you can't park here. I was about to call my grandfather when a hand reached in and pulled me roughly out of the car. Let go of me, I yelled, pulling my arm away from his grasp. Why did you have to be so rough? What were you doing just sitting in the car like that? Is bothering people your new hobby? He asked, his voice cold and clipped. You're a strange one. I shot back, my own anger rising. You're the one who just left me behind, and now you're blaming me? My grandfather asked you to give me a tour. I didn't even want to come with you in the first place. I tried to keep up with his long strides, but the heel of my shoe got caught in a crack in the pavement, and I stumbled, falling hard to the ground. I let out a sharp cry of pain. He turned back, a look of pure annoyance on his handsome face. What is it now? My ankle was throbbing with a sharp, searing pain. I could only point to my foot. He walked over, knelt down, and took my foot in his hand. I thought he was going to help me up, but instead he gave it a sharp, violent twist. There was a loud, sickening crack. The pain was so intense that I burst into tears. He didn't seem to care at all. He just stood up and said, Get up. I have a meeting soon. I don't want to waste any more of my time. There were people coming and going, all of them staring at me. I was so embarrassed. I somehow managed to get to my feet. My ankle felt a little better, though it was still incredibly sore. One of my heels had broken off, so I had to walk barefoot. The further we went into the company building, the more people stared at me. Can you find me a pair of slippers? I whispered to him, my voice trembling with a mixture of pain and humiliation. I feel so awkward walking around barefoot like this. You've been walking barefoot through half the company, and you only feel awkward now? I could feel my face burning with a deep, mortifying blush. If he were one of the boys from my old neighborhood, I would have knocked him out right then and there. He finally led me to a large corner office. He opened a closet and took out a pair of simple slippers. On the door, a polished brass plaque read, Dylan Young, Vice President. I was shocked. A guy like him was a vice president at such a young age? He must be incredibly smart. He tossed the slippers on the floor at my feet. You have 10 minutes to see the rest of the company, he said, glancing at his expensive watch. I quickly put on the slippers and followed him. He was a man of few words, only pointing out the most important departments as we walked. Later, when I started working there, I realized those were the key, most powerful divisions of the entire company. After the whirlwind tour, I took a taxi to my mom's. She had cooked a veritable feast for me. To make up for what had happened last time, I told her, Mom, just cook enough for the two of us. I don't need to bring anything back with me. Why? Don't they let you bring food back? No, it's not that. Everyone ate the food I brought back last time. It's just that I'll be so busy with my studies, I won't have time to heat it up. And you know me, I like to cook my own food. After dinner, I said goodbye to my mom and took a taxi back to my apartment. I didn't want to stay the night. For some reason, I missed my own quiet, peaceful place. I was standing outside, looking at the peaceful tree-lined street, when I heard frantic shouting from behind me. "Stop! Stop that man!" Before I knew what was happening, a figure darted past me and then stopped, running back toward me. He looked at me, panting heavily. Then he grabbed my face in his hands and kissed me. I was so shocked I couldn't even react. He held my waist, kissing me deeply, passionately. I heard footsteps getting closer. "Anna, I'm in a hurry, you two just continue," a young man's voice said as he ran past us. When the footsteps finally faded into the distance, the man let me go. I took a deep, shuddering breath, and then I slapped him twice with all my might. Then I kneed him hard in the groin. "You little pervert! Do you have any idea that you just stole my first kiss?" I yelled, then quickly unlocked my door and slammed it shut in his face. I ran to the bathroom and splashed cold water on my face, scrubbing my lips until they were raw and tingling. I couldn't believe it. Just then he had the nerve to walk into my house. "I just wanted to apologize," he said, scratching the back of his head sheepishly. "I really didn't mean to. If I hadn't done that, those guys would have caught me. I'll take full responsibility for what I did." I looked at him, my face a mask of pure disgust. "Go cry to your mommy. I don't need your responsibility. I'll just pretend a dog bit me. Now if you don't get out of here this very second, I'll call those guys back." I grabbed his arm to drag him out, but he resisted. "I'm not a kid. Why do you keep calling yourself big sister? I'm a fair person. I want to compensate you. Just name your price. I'm 23. You look like you're still in high school. And you're 30? You really expect me to believe you? You're afraid of a bunch of 20-year-olds? Your eyes are shifty. Now go home before your mom starts to worry about you." I pushed him out and locked the door firmly behind him. What a terrible, bizarre day. To avoid any more bad luck, I called Mr. Two to come and pick me up. Back at the mansion, as I was changing my shoes in the foyer, Jessica ran up and pushed me to the ground. She held up a pair of men's slippers in my face. "Why are you wearing my boyfriend's slippers? First you steal my father, and now you're trying to steal my boyfriend." I was too tired to argue. "You're so ugly on the inside you think everyone else is too. I don't know who your boyfriend is and I don't want to. I am not in the mood to fight with you today." As I walked away, she screamed after me, "If you ever so much as touch Dylan again, I swear I will kill you." I stopped and turned back to the elevator. So Dylan was her boyfriend? Then why did my grandfather ask him to give me a tour? It seemed like my grandfather was trying to set us up. But no, he wouldn't do that. He wouldn't want to create a rift between me and Jessica. But the next morning, my grandfather asked Dylan to tutor me. He said Dylan was the best at the company and that I could learn a lot from him. I didn't see how great he was. All I saw was a super strict, impossibly demanding teacher. He hit me on the head with a rolled-up financial report. "I told you this report was wrong. Are you that slow? Why did you hit me?" I yelled, rubbing my head. "My professor said this was the correct way to do it. All you're good at is arguing. What you learned in school only applies in theory. In the real world, this report is completely useless. Now do it again." I looked at the report, still not seeing what was wrong with it. He wouldn't tell me, just made me find the mistake myself. After reading it over a dozen times, I finally saw the glaring problem. It took me 3 long, frustrating hours to fix it. When I finally showed it to him, he just said, "This is barely acceptable. I'll bring you some more documents to familiarize yourself with. For now, go and drink some walnut milk." It took me a quick Google search to figure out that he was calling me stupid. After a month of his relentless training, I could finally handle simple paperwork on my own. I decided to take the weekend off to go and visit my mom. We went shopping and ate at all the nice restaurants we could only afford to look at before. My mom had sold our old house in the convenience store. "The money is enough to pay back your father," she said, her voice filled with a quiet relief. "You don't have to worry about it anymore." I didn't want to sell the house. It held so many precious memories for me. But she was right. It was just a place to live. I had a new home now. I was about to ask someone to help me sell the house when my mom suddenly screamed, "Thief! Anna, thief!" A man had snatched her purse and was running away. I told my mom to wait for me and took off after him. I chased him to a busy intersection and lost him in the crowd. I was about to give up when I saw him coming out of a small electronics store. I ran up and grabbed him by the hair. "You have a death wish, stealing from my mother?" He pushed me off, his face a picture of confusion. "Are you crazy? I didn't steal anything from you." I was about to punch him when I realized who it was. The kid who had stolen my first kiss. He recognized me at the same time. "It's you again," he yelled, his eyes wide with disbelief. "That's what I should be saying to you. First you steal my kiss, and now you steal my mother's purse." "I've been in this store for the past half an hour," he said, turning to the saleslady for confirmation. "Isn't that right?" "Yes, he has," she confirmed with a nod. I was so embarrassed. I'm so sorry," I mumbled and ran out of the store, my face burning with a deep, mortifying blush. I could hear him yelling after me. "Your apology is not sincere. I don't accept it. And I am 30, you know. Who's older now?" I was too mortified to even look back. I never wanted to see his face again. After that day, I didn't see him again, which was a huge relief. I couldn't bear the thought of another embarrassing encounter. A month passed at the company. I was still working as Dylan's assistant. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but my grandfather insisted. He said Dylan was one of the most talented people he knew, and that I would learn a lot from him. What I learned was that he was absolutely impossible to please. One day, I scheduled a flight for him that was too late, forcing him to cancel an important meeting. He berated me for an entire hour. "Can you do anything right?" he demanded, his voice dripping with frustration. "I give you one simple, straightforward task, and you still manage to mess it up. Now go and photocopy these documents and take them down to Susan's office. And you'd better hurry if you don't want to have to pay for a new plane ticket out of your own pocket." I looked at the clock. There were only 3 hours until the flight, and I still hadn't packed a single thing. On my way to Susan's office, I ran into Jessica. She looked me up and down and sneered. "Working as my boyfriend's little errand girl must be so tough. Out of the kindness of my heart, I'll tell him to give you less work. Aren't I just so nice to you? A boyfriend you haven't even been allowed to see in over a month? Do you need my help getting you into his office? Though I suppose a lowly errand girl like me wouldn't be much help to a princess like you." I smiled sweetly and walked away. She followed me and deliberately spilled her hot coffee all over the important documents I was holding. The dark, sticky liquid soaked through the papers and onto my clean clothes. "Oops," she said, not sounding sorry at all. "An errand girl like you isn't needed here anyway. Sooner or later, I will be Dylan's wife." We were in the main lobby, and people were starting to stare. I was furious, but I knew that if I retaliated, I would be the one who looked bad. I took a deep, steadying breath, shoved past her, and walked away. As I turned the corner, I saw Dylan standing there, his arms crossed over his chest. "What happened?" he asked, his voice clipped and devoid of emotion. I just shook my head, not trusting my voice. He walked past me, took the ruined documents from my trembling hands, and went straight to Jessica. "You made this mess, so you will clean it up. I want a new, perfect copy of these documents on Susan's desk before 5. He took off his expensive suit jacket, draped it over my shoulders, and then took my hand. "Let's go." Jessica's face turned a blotchy red, but in front of Dylan, she just meekly replied, "Dylan, you don't understand. Anna was the one who. Do you want me to pull the security footage? I'm sure that would clear things up quite nicely." He didn't even bother to look at her as he led me away. In the elevator, he let go of my hand. "Thank you," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "I'll wash this and return it to you. Just try to stay out of trouble. That will be thanks enough for me. I don't look for trouble. Just seems to find me. Aren't you worried that Jessica will be angry with you? She is your girlfriend after all." The elevator doors opened. "I would never love a girl as spoiled and childish as her," he said, and walked out without a backward glance. So it was just as I had thought. She was the only one who believed they were a couple. But that had absolutely nothing to do with me. The flight to New York was my first time on a plane. I was so excited, looking out the small window at the clouds, fiddling with everything in sight. Dylan had to tell me to sit still like a reprimanded child. But our bad luck seemed to follow us across the country. When we got to the hotel, they had run out of double rooms. "I'm so terribly sorry," the receptionist said, her face a mask of professional apology. "We can give you a single room for tonight, and we'll move you to a double as soon as one becomes available tomorrow morning." I looked at Dylan. He just shrugged, a picture of indifference. When we got to the room, there was only one large, king-sized bed. The nightmare was just beginning. "So what now?" I asked him, my voice trembling slightly. "You can sleep on the floor," he said without a moment's hesitation. My face fell. I hadn't slept on the floor since I was a small child. The last time I did, I got sick for a week. But I didn't want to get sick and mess up the important contract signing tomorrow. I opened my laptop and started reviewing the documents for the meeting. I hadn't eaten a thing since we landed, and my stomach was starting to protest loudly. Dylan was busy working, his fingers flying across his own keyboard, and I didn't want to bother him. Suddenly, he closed his laptop with a decisive snap. "Let's go and get something to eat. Your stomach is so loud, I can't concentrate on my work." I jumped up, delighted. "What should we eat? Hot pot sounds good right now." "Fine, but you're paying." My face fell again. "I thought you were paying for everything on this business trip," I mumbled, my disappointment acute. His face hardened. "I'm not that generous." "I have an idea," I said, trying to salvage the situation. "We can just ask the hotel to bring us some instant noodles. It's delicious, nutritious, and cheap." He smirked and walked toward me, backing me slowly against the wall. Delicious, nutritious, and cheap? I think I fit that description perfectly. "Do you want to try?" His face was so close to mine. I could feel his warm breath on my skin. My face flushed a deep shade of red, and I could hear my heart pounding in my ears. He laughed, a low, throaty sound. "Too bad I'm not interested in letting someone like you have a taste. Good meat should be paired with fresh, crisp vegetables, don't you think? The dinner will be deducted from your salary." He walked out, leaving me standing there, my mind reeling. It took me a second to understand the insult he had just thrown at me. I ran after him. In the elevator, I shot back. "Well, I wouldn't want to eat your kind of meat anyway. Old meat should be eaten with old, withered vegetables. Fresh vegetables would be completely wasted." His face turned a dangerous shade of red. "What did you just say?" "I didn't say anything about you," I said innocently. "I just said that old meat and fresh vegetables don't go well together." "So you're saying that I'm old meat? If you don't believe me, we can try it out. Then we'll know for sure who's high class and who's just old." He pressed me against the elevator wall again and started slowly unbuttoning his shirt. The elevator dinged and the doors slid open. I pushed him away. "The elevator's here. Let's go." "I don't like meat anyway." I rushed out to the waiting taxi. He got in and sat next to me, saying nonchalantly, "You were the one who was panting in the elevator." I ignored him, but I was more wary of him now than ever before. The rest of the dinner was quiet and tense. For the first time, I saw him laugh. He had a nice smile. From this angle, he was actually quite handsome, like a Korean movie star. Now I understood why Jessica was so completely obsessed with him. But then he went right back to his serious, demanding self. "Eat faster. We have work to do. If you don't finish your meal, you're not sleeping tonight." I ate quickly, but when the bill came, my good mood vanished in an instant. It was so ridiculously expensive. "I thought you said you were cheap," I grumbled. "If you're not cheap, you get barked at," he retorted without missing a beat. Back at the hotel, we worked late into the night. He was as demanding as ever, finding fault with every little thing I did. I was so exhausted I fell asleep at the desk. I woke up in the middle of the night. It was after 3 in the morning. A thin, soft blanket was draped over my shoulders, and the lights were off, except for a small lamp on the desk. He wasn't in the bed. Just then the door opened. I quickly pretended to be asleep. He came in, looked at my laptop, and then quietly went to bed. When I heard his steady, rhythmic breathing, I opened my eyes. All the documents were finished, perfectly formatted and organized. I was so confused. The next morning, he treated me as if nothing had happened, still yelling at me for being late. I decided not to ask him about it. He probably just did it to get it over with. And the blanket? That was probably just an accident. The contract was signed successfully and we flew back. That night, the company threw a big party to celebrate. I put on a simple dress and a little lipstick. Dylan had said he would pick me up, but he never showed. After waiting for over an hour, I finally gave up and took a taxi. When I got to the restaurant, I saw him helping Jessica out of his car. He even opened the door for her, something he had never ever done for me. It wasn't that I was jealous, but I was angry that he had broken his promise and made me wait for nothing. I was crossing the street when I heard the loud, terrifying screech of tires. A strong force pulled me back and I fell hard to the ground. A car sped past, inches from where I had been standing just a second before. People stared, but no one offered to help. My knee was scraped and bleeding. I was trying to get up when a familiar voice asked, "Are you okay? Your knee is bleeding pretty badly. Do you need some help?" I looked up and was surprised to see the man I never ever wanted to see again. "That's a nasty cut," he said, his voice full of a genuine concern that surprised me. "You should probably go to the hospital and get that stitched up. Can you walk?" I was so embarrassed after our last encounter, but I had no choice. I nodded. He helped me onto his scooter and took me to the nearest hospital. After the doctor stitched me up, I realized I had no money with me. He paid for everything without a word, and even bought me some medicine and a warm pastry. "Do you need to borrow my phone to call your family?" he asked, his eyes kind. "Thank you, I already called them," I said. "Can I have your phone number? I really want to pay you back." "It's not a big deal. Just consider it a good deed for the day." "No, I really want to thank you properly. The last time we met, I didn't get a chance to apologize for my mistake. And thank you for helping me today. I don't like being indebted to people. You don't have to pay me back. I've already forgotten about last time, but if you really want to, we can be friends." "Okay, but can I at least have your number?" He thought for a moment. "The next time we meet, I'll give it to you. I have to go now." As he was leaving, I called out, "Wait, can you at least tell me your name?" He stopped but didn't turn around. "Andrew," he said, and then he walked away, disappearing into the night. Andrew. What a strange coincidence. That was my brother's name. Mr. Two had told me that my brother hated having his picture taken, which was why there were no photos of him in the entire mansion. He was supposed to come back from Australia next year. I was so excited to finally meet him. I had always wanted an older brother, someone to protect me. As long as he didn't hate me, I would treat him like a real true brother. When I got back to the mansion, my grandfather was frantic with worry. He wanted to take me to the hospital, but I managed to convince him that I was fine. He let me stay home from work on the condition that I rest until my knee had completely healed. I was putting ointment on my wound when the door to my room opened without a knock. It was Dylan. "Next time, please knock," I said, my voice filled with annoyance. "This is my room. I like being spontaneous. What's wrong with that? I told you that I would pick you up, but you left without me. Now look what happened. I need an explanation." "You stood me up, and you're the one who is demanding an explanation?" I retorted, my own anger rising. "Now get out, and you can tell your superiors that my request for a leave of absence will be on your desk tomorrow morning. For now, please leave." He walked over and pinned me against the wall, his body trapping mine. "Are you ordering me around?" he asked, his voice a low, dangerous growl. "You said you would pick me up, but you didn't. I'm not blaming you for it. So what right do you have to demand an explanation from me? You are just my boss. Our relationship is strictly professional. Let's see about that. One day I will make our relationship much, much more than that. I'm giving you 2 days of leave. After that, I will personally come and get you for work. And I will make sure you can't be so arrogant with me anymore." He stroked my hair, a strange, tender look in his eyes, and then he left. He had called me by my first name. And what did he mean, change our relationship? Did he actually like me? No, that was impossible. But even if he did, it didn't matter. I only admired his talent. My heart was not ready for anything more. The next day, I snuck out of the house and went back to my old neighborhood, hoping to run into Andrew again. But I didn't see him anywhere. The taxi pulled up and a man got out. It was him. "What a coincidence," I said, my heart skipping a beat. "We meet again. How's your knee?" he asked, his eyes full of a warm concern. "It's better. Since we've met again, you have to treat me to a meal, right?" He smiled and agreed. We went to a small, cozy diner nearby. He told me he owned a small coffee shop and was 30 years old. And most importantly, he was single. I couldn't stop staring at him. That day, I finally got his phone number. The next day, Dylan came to pick me up for work. Jessica saw him helping me and glared at me with pure hatred, but she didn't say anything. Because my knee was still healing, Dylan didn't give me much work to do. That meant I had more time to text Andrew. He asked me out to lunch and I couldn't stop smiling all morning. I went to Dylan's office. It's almost lunchtime. Can I take a 2-hour break? He didn't even look up from his papers. If you're going out with a man, then no. You are my woman. I don't like you going out with other men. Your woman? Since when? If you won't let me go, then I'll just wait until my official lunch break. As I turned to leave, he said, "Have lunch with me." "No," I replied without thinking. It was the first time he had ever spoken to me so gently. His recent actions made me more and more certain that he liked me. But even if Jessica wasn't in the picture, I didn't have any romantic feelings for him. At 11, I went down to meet Andrew. I called him several times, but he didn't answer his phone. I decided to go to the restaurant we had agreed on. He was already there waiting for me. We had a wonderful time together. He was so considerate, telling me which foods were good for my recovery and which ones to avoid. We grew closer and closer. After work, I would often go to his small coffee shop to help him out. One day, I walked in and saw a girl hugging him tightly from behind. A sharp, unexpected pain shot through my chest, and tears welled up in my eyes. He saw me and called my name, but I turned and ran. He caught up to me and grabbed my arm. "What's wrong? You shouldn't be running on your injured leg." I pulled my arm away. "It has nothing to do with you." "Of course it does. If you get hurt, I'll be heartbroken." My eyes widened in surprise. I collected myself and asked, "Who was that girl?" She confessed her feelings to me, but I turned her down. She just hugged me. I have no feelings for her at all. The only one I like is you. His sincere, earnest gaze made me believe him. "Give me a chance to take care of you for the rest of our lives," he said, his voice full of a raw emotion that touched my soul. "Why should I? There are plenty of people who want to take care of me. Because no one can do it better than I can. Anna, you have feelings for me too, don't you? Why else would you cry when you saw another woman hugging me? Just give me a chance to be by your side to protect you." "Okay," I said, a slow, happy smile spreading across my face. "I'll give you a chance. But you'd better do a good job." He pulled me into his arms and spun me around, his joyful laughter echoing in the quiet street. I knew then that he held a very important, very special place in my heart. Being with him, I felt a sense of peace I had never known before. My mind told me that he was a mature, kind man who could protect me from the world. And he did. He spoiled me endlessly. He took me to work, we went grocery shopping together, we cooked together. I didn't care about the future. I was happy, truly happy in the present. I kept our relationship a secret from everyone, even my mother and my grandfather. One morning at breakfast, my grandfather was talking to Dylan. When he saw me, he smiled. "You have good news and you didn't even tell me? Next time you have to tell me first. Dylan, you have to take good care of my granddaughter." Before I could ask him what on earth he was talking about, Dylan grabbed my hand and pulled me out of the house. "What did you tell my grandfather?" I demanded, my heart pounding with a sudden, inexplicable fear. "I just told him that we were dating. He said he would arrange for us to get married." "Who gave you the right to say that? We are not dating. I am going back right now to explain everything to him." "Have you even really gotten to know Andrew yet?" he asked, his voice strangely intense. "What do you mean by that? Did you have me investigated?" "I found out by chance. Aren't you moving a little too fast with him? Do you really know the man you're with? What are you trying to say? Just spit it out. Do you even know who he really is?" "Of course I do. And what does my relationship have to do with you? He's a good man. I feel safe with him. I just want to warn you not to be too hasty. In the end, you'll be the one who gets hurt. Whether I'm hurt or happy, it's none of your business. I am going to go and explain everything to my grandfather." I went back and told my grandfather everything. He didn't ask me why, he just said, "As long as you're happy, my child. It doesn't matter if he's rich or poor, as long as he is good to you. You've suffered enough in your life. I will support your decision. But Grandpa, Jessica likes Dylan. Why don't you set them up? Jessica is still just a child. She wouldn't be able to handle a man like Dylan. The man I want for you is someone who truly loves you and can help me run the company. Dylan is incredibly talented, but Jessica is far too immature. They wouldn't last. You, on the other hand, can manage him. He has high, far-reaching ambitions. If Jessica were with him, she would suffer greatly after I'm gone. It seemed my grandfather wanted whoever married me to take over the company, but Andrew was just a simple coffee shop owner. How could he possibly handle such a huge, overwhelming responsibility? I decided not to worry about it for now. The days passed. I was still Dylan's assistant, and we often had to travel for work together. After a long 2-week business trip, I finally had a day off to go and see Andrew. He had a small apartment near my old house, and he had given me a key. I cleaned his place and started cooking for him. He came home early. "You're back early," I said, a happy smile spreading across my face. He wrapped his arms around me from behind, his chin resting on my shoulder. "I missed your cooking. Was the trip with him tiring?" "I'm almost done. You go and get some rest." "No, let me help." He started helping me and I laughed. This man never failed to make me happy. I tasted the soup and held out the spoon for him to try. Just as he leaned in, I pulled it away and kissed him. He stood there, stunned. I was so embarrassed I didn't know what to do. He pulled me into his arms. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "Thank you for opening your heart to me." He kissed my forehead, a tender, loving gesture that made my heart melt. During dinner, he asked, "Do you have to go on another business trip soon?" "Yes, the company just landed a lot of new projects. I'll be traveling a lot for the next few months." "How's the coffee shop doing?" "It makes enough to feed you 3 meals a day." He smiled. "I still have a day off tomorrow. I was thinking of going to visit my mom. The trip to Hawaii will have to wait until next month. I haven't seen my mom in a while." "I'll go with you." I thought for a moment and agreed. We had been together for a while now. It was time for him to meet my mother. I told my mom I was bringing my boyfriend over to meet her, and she was so excited. When we arrived, she was waiting at the gate for us. She hugged me tight. "I missed you so much. Look at you, still acting like a baby. Now go and help the young man with the bags." Andrew came over with a load of gifts. "Hello, ma'am," he said politely, his voice warm and respectful. My mom froze, staring at him, her face turning pale. "Mom, what's wrong? Do you know Andrew?" I asked, a knot of unease tightening in my stomach. No. Come in, she said, quickly recovering her composure. Andrew was a natural. He helped my mom in the kitchen, and his witty, charming jokes made her laugh. After dinner, he had to leave to take an urgent call. "How are you feeling, Mom?" I asked, lying in her lap like a little girl again. "I'm fine, my dear. How long have you two been together?" "Just a little while. We had some misunderstandings at first, but the more I got to know him, the more I realized that he's a good, mature man. I feel like he's the one I'll spend the rest of my life with." "Anna, I don't know why, but he looks so familiar. He looks just like..." "Like who, Mom?" "Like your father's son." I sat up straight. "No way, Mom. Andrew showed me pictures of his parents. He can't be my father's son. My brother is studying abroad. You're just overthinking things." "Maybe you're right." I had to leave early to get back for work the next day. On the way, I stopped by Andrew's coffee shop. It was empty. I let myself in with the key he had given me. He was in the back cleaning. I crept up behind him and hugged him. "Why are you still here so late?" "I missed you. Let's go for a walk." We walked through the deserted park, and I told him everything. About my fatherless childhood, about being bullied, about dropping out of school to help my mom, about being forced to live with my father, about feeling so lonely and out of place in that cold, opulent mansion. "I don't want to be strong anymore," I said, my voice thick with unshed tears. "I'm so tired of it all. Thank you for coming into my life, for loving me." He held me tight. "I'm here now. I will be your strength. You are not alone anymore." The next few weeks were a blur of work. I barely had time to see Andrew. One morning at breakfast, my grandfather made a surprise announcement. "Next week, Andrew will be returning from Australia. We will hold a shareholders meeting. As I promised him, the position of vice president will be his. He's been studying abroad for years. It is time for him to come back and help with the company. Victoria, he's a good boy. He will do well. The VP position has been vacant for far too long. Jessica, Anna, your brother is coming back. You two need to work hard and help him grow the company. Yes, Grandpa, we both said in unison. Anna, my father said, when Andrew comes back, I want you to be by his side and assist him in his new role. Before I could answer, Jessica chimed in, her voice full of a giddy excitement. Dad, if she does that, then Dylan's assistant position will be open. Can I have it? After your brother comes back and everything is settled, I will move you to be Dylan's assistant. It's time for you two girls to focus on the company and your futures. Only Jessica was happy about this news. I, on the other hand, was filled with a deep sense of dread. Being the VP's assistant would not be easy. I couldn't make any mistakes. I wondered how my brother would treat me. Would he accept me or would he hate me? I just hoped with all my heart that he wouldn't be too hard on me. After work, Andrew was waiting for me. Why are you so free today? I asked, teasing him. Let's go to Hawaii. Now? What about our plane tickets, our hotel? I've taken care of everything. All you have to do is come with me. We flew to Hawaii. We rented a small, cozy hotel room, walked on the warm, sandy beach, ate delicious, exotic food, and took pictures together. Back at the hotel, I couldn't stop looking at the photos on my phone. We look so good together, I said with a happy sigh. We should take more pictures. You like them that much? Of course. I like everything that has to do with us. I went to take a shower. When I came out, he was gone. I found him on the balcony, staring out at the dark, endless ocean. I went up behind him and wrapped my arms around his waist. What's wrong? I asked, my voice soft. Nothing. You seem sad. Anna, I just want you to know that my feelings for you are real. But who knows what the future holds? What if one day you come to hate me? I sat up, a cold fear gripping my heart. Why are you talking like this? What's wrong? He pulled me into his arms. Nothing. Let's just go to sleep. He held me all night, but I didn't know that he was watching me. His heartbreaking, silent tears streaming down his handsome face. The next day, he rented a scooter, and we explored the beautiful island together. It was a perfect, magical day. We flew back to the city. I was so tired from the trip, I overslept the next day and had to eat breakfast alone. Jessica came over to bother me as usual. You poor, pathetic thing, she said with a look of fake pity on her face. You'd better eat up. You won't have much of an appetite after today. Are you that concerned about me? I feel so sorry for you having to worry about my life all the time. Just stay in your own lane and see who's the real loser at the end of the day. I finished my breakfast and went to work. The whole office was buzzing with an electric excitement. Have you heard who the new VP is? One of the receptionists whispered to her friend. Of course. The chairman's grandson. He studied in France. He's handsome, brilliant, and incredibly rich. I heard he's very cold and serious, though. My brother was a celebrity in his own right. I was so excited to finally meet him. In the elevator, I tried calling Andrew, but he didn't answer his phone. A strange sense of foreboding washed over me. As usual, I made a cup of coffee for Dylan and briefed him on his schedule for the day. When I was done, he said, You can go home after the meeting today. But it's not my day off. Why? You'll know soon enough. The shareholders meeting was packed with all the big names in the company. Jessica was there, of course, looking smug and self-satisfied. After my grandfather gave a long speech, he announced, And now let's give a warm welcome to our new vice president, Andrew Peterson. Everyone turned to the door. The applause grew louder and louder. I looked too. My eyes widened in disbelief. I blinked, hoping I was seeing things. But no, it was him. Jessica's voice whispered in my ear, a venomous, triumphant hiss. Surprised? I bet you are. It's too bad your boyfriend is my brother. My mind went completely blank. The man standing next to my grandfather was him. But he wasn't the simple, kind-hearted coffee shop owner I knew. He was dressed in an impeccably tailored designer suit, looking every bit the part of the powerful heir to a vast corporate empire. He didn't even glance in my direction. The meeting ended, but I couldn't move. Tears streamed down my face, hot and silent. My heart felt like it was being crushed by a sledgehammer. I needed an explanation. I needed to know why. I ran to the VP's office and burst in without knocking. My grandfather and my father were there, but I only had eyes for him. He calmly escorted them out of the room. When we were finally alone, he went back to his desk and started looking at some papers, as if I wasn't even there. I couldn't take it anymore. I swept everything off his desk with a furious, desperate gesture. "Andrew, what is this?" I sobbed, my voice a raw, ragged sound. "Tell me what's going on." He leaned back in his expensive leather chair, a cold, mocking smile on his face. "Are you that stupid? Use your brain, little sister. Did you really think that I could ever love an illegitimate child like you? The most disgusting thing I have ever had to do in my entire life was be with you. In my vocabulary, the word love does not exist. The very sight of you makes me sick to my stomach. Your appearance in our lives has brought nothing but sadness and misery to my mother and my sister. This is the price you have to pay for disrupting our family's peaceful life. So you lied to me? You trampled on my feelings, my heart? Are you happy now that you've gotten what you wanted?" "Yes, I am," he said, his voice completely devoid of emotion. "You fool," I whispered to myself. "You should have known." I turned and walked out, not looking back. I went up to the rooftop of the building and cried until I had no tears left to cry. I felt so alone, so lost, so utterly betrayed. My phone was buzzing with calls and texts from my father and my grandfather. "Come home early tonight," my grandfather texted. "We're having a party to celebrate your brother's return." Dylan texted me too. "This is a painful lesson, but it will make you stronger. Don't give up. You still have your mother." He was right. I still had my mother. I couldn't fall apart now. I went to the bathroom, fixed my ruined makeup, and went back to my office. I asked Dylan for the rest of the day off. He didn't ask any questions, just said, "Okay, but starting tomorrow, I don't want to see you looking like this ever again." Why didn't you tell me? Would you have believed me? This is a lesson you had to learn for yourself. Not everyone will accept you. Just because they're silent doesn't mean they've accepted you into their hearts. There will be more lessons to come. You have to be strong or they will crush you. I left the company and wandered the streets aimlessly. I ended up at a cheap karaoke bar. I got a private room and sang and drank until I finally passed out. In my drunken, hazy dreams, I dreamed that Andrew was holding me, telling me that he loved me. "You have to be strong," he whispered. "Even though I can't be with you, I will always be watching over you." I woke up in the dark, empty room. It was all just a dream. "Anna," I told myself, my voice a hoarse whisper, "this is the last time you will ever allow yourself to be this weak." The next morning, my father was waiting for me. He was furious. He yelled at me for not coming to the party, for not answering my phone. He said my grandfather was so worried, his blood pressure had shot up. I immediately went to see him. As I was about to knock on his door, it opened and Andrew walked out. He didn't even look at me. My grandfather was sitting at his desk, looking at some papers. "Grandpa, you should be resting," I said, my voice full of a genuine concern. He was still angry with me and wouldn't talk to me. I went behind him and started massaging his tired, stiff shoulders. "I just learned how to do this. Do you want to try?" He didn't answer. "I guess you hate me now. I'll just go back to my room then." "Stop right there," he barked. I pulled up a chair and sat next to him, putting on my most pathetic, pitiful face. "I'm ready for my punishment. You can yell at me, you can spank me, you can do whatever you want. Just please don't be mad at me anymore. If you want me to forgive you, then you will tell me where you were last night, who you were with, and why you didn't answer your phone." I was alone. As for why I didn't come to the party, can we not talk about it? I swear on my life that I didn't do anything wrong. I believe you, but that was a family party. Everyone was expecting you to be there. From now on, you are not allowed to miss any family events. Do you understand? "Yes, Grandpa. Can I ask you for a favor?" "Anything that is within my power. I want to continue working as Dylan's assistant. I know you want the best for me, but I don't think I can handle the job with Andrew. I'm afraid I won't do a good job and will end up embarrassing you. Are you sure?" "Yes, Grandpa. I will think about it." For now, you can continue working with Dylan. I went back to my room and texted Dylan to ask for one more day off. I needed to recharge my emotional batteries. Then I called my mom and told her I was coming to visit. As I was leaving, Jessica blocked my way. You still have the nerve to stay here? You have a thick skin just like your mother. I slapped her hard across the face. You can insult me all you want, but if you ever insult my mother again, I will feed you to the sharks. She flew into a rage and attacked me, pulling my hair, trying to push me to the ground. Today is the day you die, you bitch, she screamed, her face a mask of pure, unadulterated hatred. I managed to get free and elbowed her hard in the stomach. She doubled over, clutching her stomach in pain. This is a warning, I said, my voice low and dangerous. The next time you insult my mother, I will make you apologize to her face. As I walked away, I noticed that she was still on the ground, moaning softly. I turned back and saw a pool of blood forming under her. Before I could do anything, her mother, Victoria, came running out screaming, "My baby! Somebody help! Anna has killed my baby!" I ran to see what was wrong, but Victoria slapped me hard across the face, then started pulling my hair. Your mother didn't teach you any manners, so you grew up to be a common thug. If anything happens to my daughter, I swear I will make you pay. Let her go! My grandfather's voice boomed from the doorway. What are you all doing, just standing around? Take Jessica to the hospital now. My father and Andrew rushed Jessica to the car. Victoria followed, screaming threats and curses at me. My grandfather grabbed my arm. You will stay here, he said, his voice grim. I will go with them. I stood there, frozen in shock. The blood on the floor. Jessica was pregnant, and if anything happened to the baby, it would be all my fault. Hours passed. There was a knock on the door. It was the maid, Mrs. Liu. Grand young miss, there's big trouble, she said, her face pale with fear. Young Miss Jessica was pregnant, and she had a miscarriage. The doctor had to remove the baby. Everyone is on their way back now. I felt like the world was crashing down around me. I had killed my own nephew. Mrs. Liu grabbed my arm. Grand young miss, you have to listen to me. You have to leave now. I will pack your things and send them to you later. There's a car waiting for you at the gate. Go now. No, I can't, I said, sinking to the floor in a heap. I have to wait for Jessica and apologize. I will take whatever punishment she gives me. I killed her child. I can't just run away like a coward. You have to go. Things will only get worse for you if you stay. I am not leaving. My grandfather asked you to do this, didn't he? I have committed a crime, and I will face the consequences. Just then the door opened. Jessica walked in and slapped me twice, her face a mask of cold, silent fury. She picked up a heavy vase and smashed it over my head. She didn't say a single word. I didn't either. I knew I deserved it. Mrs. Liu tried to stop her, but Jessica was like a woman possessed. She dragged me to the top of the grand staircase. Her eyes were filled with a terrifying, bottomless hatred. This is just the beginning, she whispered, her voice a low, venomous hiss. Why aren't you screaming at me like you did before? How can you be so calm after you killed my child? I didn't know what to say. I felt like whatever she did to me, I deserved it. She smiled, a cold, cruel smile that sent a shiver down my spine. The elevator dinged. Andrew came running out. Jessica, don't, he yelled, his voice filled with a desperate urgency. But it was too late. She pushed me down the stairs. I tumbled down the long, winding staircase, my head hitting the hard marble steps again and again. The last thing I saw was Andrew running toward me, his face a mask of pure horror. He was saying something, but I couldn't hear him. I was so tired. All I wanted to do was sleep. I woke up in a sterile white hospital room. The room was empty. A wave of profound loneliness washed over me, and I started to cry. A sharp, searing pain shot through my head. I pressed the call button. My grandfather rushed in. Anna, what's wrong? Doctor. A doctor came and gave me a shot of painkiller. After he left, my grandfather sat by my bed. You have a severe concussion, he said, his voice heavy with a weary sadness. But luckily, there is no brain damage. You need to stay here and recover. Don't think about anything else for now. I want to see the baby, I whispered, my voice a hoarse whisper. I want to apologize to Jessica. This is not the time. Your health is more important. When you're better, we will go home and talk. Grandpa, I didn't mean to. I didn't know she was pregnant. I know. No one wanted this to happen. Don't blame yourself. Did you call my mom? Not yet. I was waiting for your decision. I think it would be better for you to be with her right now. Do you want to go to her house for a few days? Yes, please. But only for a few days. I'm not running away from my responsibilities. That's the best way. I will have a doctor come to the house to take care of you. You rest now. I will go and take care of the discharge papers. After he left, I buried my face in my hands and sobbed. Everything had happened so fast. My mind was filled with the image of Jessica's face, twisted with a grief and hatred so profound it terrified me. I had killed her child. The guilt was a heavy, suffocating weight on my soul, a nightmare I would have to live with for the rest of my life. That night, my mom fed me warm porridge. Stay here with me for a month, okay? She said, her voice full of a gentle, unconditional love. You're too thin. I'll cook you some good food to fatten you up. I can only stay until the weekend. I have to go back. And don't worry about cooking for me. The doctor has given me a special diet to follow. Anna, when you're ready, you have to tell me what happened. I am always here for you no matter what. I took a deep, shuddering breath. I couldn't tell her. The burden was too heavy for her to bear. I would have to carry it alone. I spent a week at my mom's, but I barely recovered. The bandage on my head was off, but the wound in my heart was still fresh and raw. One night I couldn't sleep. I went to my mom's room. Mom, can you stroke my hair? I asked, my voice small and childlike. She pulled me into her arms, and I lay there like a child again, safe and protected. Anna, she whispered, her voice a soothing balm to my tortured soul. This house will always be your home. If you're tired, if you can't take it anymore, you can always come back to me. When I can't take it anymore, I will come back to you. Good girl. And remember, you have to tell me everything when you're ready. Soon, Mom. I'll tell you everything soon. I wiped away a tear. No matter how dark and treacherous the road ahead was, I had to walk it alone. My mother had suffered enough because of me. Anna, I told myself, my voice a fierce, determined whisper in the darkness. You have to face this on your own. There will be a way out. There has to be. I stood before the imposing mansion gates, my body trembling. I took a deep, steadying breath and walked in. Mrs. Liu met me at the door and hugged me tight. Everyone is waiting for you in the living room, she whispered, her voice full of a worried concern. Are you ready? I nodded, my heart pounding in my chest. Everyone was there. Jessica was even thinner than before. No amount of makeup could hide the dark, hollow circles under her eyes. Victoria stood up and started screaming. The murderer is back. Andrew, call the police. Lock this monster up. I am not dead yet, my grandfather roared, his voice echoing in the vast, silent room. Anna, come and sit down. Everyone fell silent. I sat down, feeling the crushing weight of their hateful glares. Even my father looked at me with a profound disappointment that cut me deeper than any angry words could. I looked at Andrew, hoping to see a flicker of sympathy, of understanding in his eyes, but he wouldn't even look at me. My grandfather broke the tense silence. As the head of this family, I want to ask you some questions, and I expect you to answer truthfully. Jessica, I know this is incredibly painful for you, but you have to tell me who the father of the baby was. Grandpa, I don't want to talk about it. This is not a request. This is an order. He was just my friend, she mumbled, her voice barely audible. I want the details. And why didn't you tell anyone in the family that you were pregnant? It was an accident. He's studying overseas right now. I was going to tell everyone. But then, she looked at me, her eyes filled with a raw, burning hatred. When were you going to tell us? When you were more than 5 months along. I want the truth, Jessica. She started to protest, but my grandfather cut her off. Don't forget, this family is very powerful. It is not hard for me to find out the truth. Now tell me everything. I already know what happened. All I need is for you to confirm it. Jessica finally broke down, her body racked with sobs. It's true, I was 5 months pregnant. The baby was fully formed, but he wouldn't acknowledge it. I was so afraid that you and my parents would be angry with me, So I wore loose clothes and wrapped my stomach tightly. But I wanted to have the baby. It was my child. I was ready to face the consequences to be a single mother. She burst into tears and everyone rushed to comfort her. My grandfather sighed a deep, weary sound. It seems the child was not fated to be with us. Don't be too sad. I have already taken care of everything. No one will ever know about this. Your record will remain clean. Anna, I know you two didn't get along. I saw on the security camera that Jessica started the fight. I know you were only defending yourself, but the consequences of your actions are too great. I have made arrangements for you to study abroad next month at our company's headquarters in the US. You will have a chance to learn and experience new things. For the next month, you will move out and live on your own. It will give you time to reflect and to heal. I won't allow it. Victoria shrieked, her voice filled with a venomous rage. She is not going anywhere. She will stay right here. I have made my decision. Do not argue with me. If you continue to defy me, you know what will happen. He turned to everyone. This matter is closed. I don't want to hear anyone talking about it ever again. He took my hand and led me out of the room. That night, I had a long talk with my father. He confessed that he had been a coward back then. He was so afraid of losing his inheritance that he had abandoned my mother and me. He said he loved Jessica more because she was fragile and delicate, whereas I was too strong, too independent. He told me to listen to my grandfather and go to the US. It would give everyone time to heal. I moved into a small but luxurious apartment. For the next month, I dedicated myself to studying English. One night, the doorbell rang. It was a delivery man. I told him he had the wrong apartment. It was strange because you needed a special key card to get to my floor. A few days later, I was coming home from the grocery store when someone pushed me into my apartment and hit me hard on the back of the head. The last thing I heard was a muffled voice saying, "I'm so sorry, but I'm just doing what I was paid to do." I woke up in my own bed. My head ached terribly, but there were no other signs of an attack. I felt a sharp cramping pain in my lower abdomen. I threw back the covers and saw bloodstains on the pristine white sheets. I screamed. I went to the hospital. The doctor confirmed my worst fears. I had been sexually assaulted. I didn't report it to the police. How could I? It would only bring more shame and scandal to my family. I went to the security office of the apartment building to check the surveillance footage, but the part where I was attacked was mysteriously gone. The security guard swore up and down that no one had come to my floor that night. A few days later, he quit his job and disappeared without a trace. I knew then that Jessica was behind it. A week before I was supposed to leave for the US, my grandfather called me on video. He was with a beautiful, radiant young woman. "Anna, this is Chloe, Andrew's new girlfriend," he said, his voice full of a cheerful excitement. "They're getting engaged tonight. You have to come to the party." I was devastated. He had a new girlfriend already. The pain was still so fresh for me, but I went. I got my hair and makeup done. I wanted him to see what he had lost. But compared to the ethereal beauty of Chloe, I was nothing. At the party, my grandfather introduced me to her. She was sweet and bubbly, her laughter like a tinkling bell. "I've heard so much about you," she said, her voice full of a genuine warmth. "You're even prettier in person." But when my grandfather walked away, her entire demeanor changed. "So you're the one who seduced her own brother and then killed her sister's baby? You're disgusting." I was shocked by her venom, but I wouldn't let her get to me. "You had better watch your mouth or you will be my next victim." I sneered, my own voice dripping with contempt. Later by the pool, she confronted me again. "You think you're so tough? You have nothing. I have everything. I may not have anything, but I have power. And with power, I can buy your father's company and crush your entire family into dust." She flew into a rage and pushed me hard into the pool. I climbed out and slapped her hard. "If you ever touch me again, you will regret it for the rest of your life." "I like touching you," she said, and tried to slap me back. I caught her hand in a vice-like grip. Just then, people started gathering around. She saw her chance. She let her body go limp and fell dramatically into the pool, screaming for help. Everyone thought I had pushed her. My grandfather ended the party. When Andrew came back, my grandfather was furious. "How is she?" he asked, his voice full of a worried concern. "She's fine. She's resting at the hospital." He looked at me, his eyes cold and hard as stone. "Pack your things and go to the US now. Don't cause any more trouble for this family." "I didn't push her," I said, my voice trembling with a righteous fury. "She fell. No one is stupid enough to try and kill themselves. First Jessica, now Chloe. Are you going to play the victim forever? You're being completely unreasonable. I only admit to the things I have done. Why should I take the blame for something I didn't do?" "Enough!" my grandfather yelled, his voice a thunderous roar. "Both of you stop fighting. Anna, go to your room. Andrew, you will come with me." As I was leaving, Andrew said, "Stay away from Chloe. This is not a request. It is a command." I turned back and finally let out all the pain and anger I had been holding in for so long. There was a time when I asked myself what I did wrong to be treated like this by you. You once said that no matter what happened, your feelings for me were real. The time we spent together may have been short, but I believed with all my heart that you loved me. But you have hurt me again and again and again. Andrew, from today I no longer love you. If you can't see me as a sister, then see me as a complete stranger. From now on, our only connection is that we have the same father. Please don't make things difficult for him and for Grandpa. If we see each other outside of this house, let's just pretend we're strangers." I looked up at the starless sky. Andrew, meeting you was the most beautiful, most painful memory of my life. I walked away, and this time I didn't look back. My life had been filled with far too much bitterness. If you can't love me, then please just don't hurt me anymore. This is where it ends. I packed my bags and flew to the US the very next day. At the airport, my mother, my father, and my grandfather came to see me off. I hugged my mother tight. "I'm just going to study, not to a battlefield. Why are you crying? I'll be back in a few years. If you miss me, you can just call. You take care of yourself," she sobbed, her body shaking with grief. "You eat well. Don't get sick." I turned to my grandfather. "You have to take care of your health. Don't work too much. You have my father and Andrew to help you now. You take care of yourself too. If you have any difficulties, you just have to call me. I will take care of everything." "Dad," I said to my father, "you have to take care of yourself too. You drink less, you work less. If I need anything, I'll call you." "Of course. I will always be here for you." I hugged them all one last time and walked through the gate, not daring to look back. 4 years. In 4 years, I would come back a strong, successful, independent woman. The first few days in the US, I was sick with a high fever. I felt so lonely and miserable. I finally dragged my weak, aching body out of bed to buy some food. The cold, biting air hit me like a ton of bricks. I was so weak I collapsed on the floor. Just then there was a knock on the door. "Anna, are you there?" "It's me, Dylan." I opened the door and fainted. He carried me back to bed, wiped my hot face with a cool, damp cloth and put a fever patch on my forehead. I slept until the next morning. When I woke up, there was a note on the nightstand. I had to go to work. "I left some porridge for you on the stove. Don't go outside. It's still snowing." I felt much better. I heated up the porridge. The fridge and the cupboards were fully stocked with food. He had thought of everything. I was so touched. He had flown here on the same day as me. How did he know where I lived? And why did he show up right when I was so sick and alone? The next morning, I saw him coming out of the apartment across the hall. "You're feeling better?" he asked, touching my forehead with the back of his hand. "You don't look as stupid as you did yesterday, so I guess you're fine." "Thank you for yesterday. I don't know how to find you to thank you. You don't know how to find me, and yet you dared to come to the US all by yourself? I'm starting to be afraid of you. Some things you just have to go through to become stronger. Why did you suddenly come here? Isn't being a VP better than being an employee? Because you're here." He smiled. "Just kidding. Don't take it so seriously. I'm still in a high position here. I wouldn't come all this way just to be someone's subordinate. Do you know where I can find some good pho? I'm craving it." He took me to a small, authentic Vietnamese restaurant. The moment I smelled the rich, aromatic beef broth, I felt a sudden wave of nausea. I ran outside and threw up. Dylan rushed out after me. "What's wrong? Did you eat something bad?" "No, I haven't eaten anything all day. I think it's my stomach." He took me to the hospital. A kind, elderly Vietnamese doctor examined me. She gave me a small box. Follow the instructions on the box and bring it back to me in 5 minutes. It was a pregnancy test. Came back positive. It's not possible, I told the doctor, my voice trembling. I only had sex once and I took the morning after pill. She gave me 5 more tests. They were all positive. The pill is 99% effective, she said, her eyes full of a gentle, understanding sadness. You're in the 1%. This is a miracle. Do you want to keep it? 4 years later, I was back in my home country with my son Ben. Dylan was with us. Mommy, can we go get ice cream now? Ben asked, his voice full of a sweet, childish impatience. As soon as we get home, my love. Dylan had been my rock, my steadfast companion, for the past 4 years. He was there for every single doctor's appointment. He was even in the delivery room with me, holding my hand. He loved Ben as if he were his own son. He had never once asked me who the real father was. He said he was Ben's only father. I could never possibly repay his kindness. But my heart, my foolish, stubborn heart, still belonged to someone else. I went to my mom's first. She hugged me tight. You're finally back. Then she saw Ben. Who is this? Mom, I said, tears streaming down my face. I'm so sorry. I brought you a grandson. She took Ben in her arms and kissed him all over. My poor baby. Why did you have to suffer so much all alone? I told her everything. About the miscarriage, about Dylan, about everything. She just held me and cried. The next day, I took Ben to see my grandfather. He was overjoyed to see his great-grandson. Everyone else was shocked when they saw Ben. He has a son? Jessica gasped, her eyes wide with disbelief. With Dylan. Hello, Dad, Auntie, I said, my voice steady despite the storm of emotions raging inside me. Ben, say hello to your grandparents. Hello, Grandpa, Grandma, Ben said shyly, hiding behind my leg. He's my son, my father said, his voice thick with a raw, unbridled emotion. How could you have a child without being married? Victoria snapped, her voice full of a sharp, judgmental disapproval. What era are you living in? My grandfather said, his voice a low, rumbling growl. Ben is Anna's son. That is all that matters. Ben is my son, I said, my voice firm with a mother's fierce, protective love. He doesn't have a father. Just then a voice came from the door, a voice that haunted my dreams. Who says Ben doesn't have a father? I am his father. My heart stopped. It was him. Andrew. I turned and there he stood, a specter from my past, more handsome, more commanding than I remembered. He walked toward me, his intense gaze never leaving my face, and for a moment, the world and everyone in it ceased to exist. I'm sorry, Anna, he said, his voice a soft, broken whisper that was meant for my ears alone. I was a fool, a cruel, arrogant fool. I should have never, ever let you go. I was speechless, the words caught in my throat. My shock was so profound I couldn't even breathe. He turned his attention to my grandfather. Grandpa, he declared, his voice ringing with a newfound conviction. I love Anna. I want to marry her. My grandfather's weathered face broke into a wide, knowing smile. I have been waiting for you to say those words for a very long time, my boy. We were married a few months later, on a beautiful sun-drenched afternoon. It was the happiest day of my life. Andrew was a wonderful, devoted husband and a loving, doting father. He cherished Ben as if he were his own flesh and blood. At long last, I had the family I had always dreamed of. A family built not on power or money, but on a foundation of forgiveness, redemption, and a love that had weathered the fiercest of storms. But even in the brightest sunshine, a part of my heart knew that our story was far from over, that the past still held secrets that had yet to come to light.